The second lesser known pearl that we shall discuss about is disordered affections. Some scholars would translate this as inordinate attachments. This notion appears in Annotation 1. In the second part of the annotation, we read, "For just as taking a walk, traveling on foot, and running are physical exercises, so is the name of spiritual exercises given to any means of preparing and disposing our soul to rid itself of all its disordered affections." So Ignatian says that one of the purposes of the spiritual exercises that he proposes is to prepare and to get rid of from the soul disordered affections. Now, what are these disordered affections? Disordered affections are the desires or attachments that we have natural inclination to from the material world, which would in a way control us and do not allow us to dispose ourselves, to present ourselves to God's plan. The disordered affections, they lead us to lack of freedom and they prevent us to discern and follow God's will for us. The exercises help us to identify and find ways of getting rid of them so that with absolute freedom and indifference we'll be able to seek and find God's will for us and thus save our souls. Therefore, what are these disordered affections? They are the natural desires and attachments which stem from our attachment to the world, the worldly pleasures, the worldly values, and they cause imbalance in us, in our priorities, in our decision makings. And these disordered affections can be material things, it can be relationships, it can be achievements, and even desires for comfort and security. Now, why are they bad for us? Why are the disordered affections will not allow us to be what we truly long for? The disordered affections, first of all, they lead us to lack of freedom. Secondly, they cloud our judgment. Since we are tied to them and these desires and attachments control us, we will not be able to use our judgment to arrive at a decision. And thirdly, the disordered affections make it difficult for us to discern God's will for us. In the Gospels, we have the story of the rich fool. We find in the Gospel according to Luke chapter 16 verses 19 to 31, where we see this rich man who is tied to his riches. His one and only preoccupation is his riches, his wealth. He believes that these riches can bring happiness to him. Alas, he did not know that these riches are worldly. They are a passing phenomenon. It wouldn't take too long for these riches to get out of his hand. Now we have St Augustine of the 4th century who talks about disordered love, another facet of these disordered affections, disordered love. For Augustine, the root cause of sin is disordered love. He says, to have a well-ordered heart is to love the right thing, in the right degree, in the right way, and with the right kind of love. We have also Thomas A. Kempis, the author of the popular devotional The Imitation of Christ. He also talks about these disordered affections, what he calls it ill-ordered affection. He says, if your heart is free from ill-ordered affection, no good deed will be difficult for you. If you aim at and seek after nothing but the pleasure of God and the welfare of your neighbor, you will enjoy freedom within. We have C.S. Lewis in his book The Weight of Glory talks about the need to order our desires. He says the problem is not that our desires for other things are too strong, but that our desire for God is too weak. Now, how do we apply this concept of disordered affections to our life? We shall spend a few minutes today to consider what are the desires and attachments which bind me, which prevent me from experiencing freedom. What are the persons, relationships, physical objects, dreams, ambitions, desires which do not allow me to be free? In other words, we can think of the things which bind me, which tie me to themselves, that I do not get out of their hand. These are the things which curtail our freedom. These are the things which may give us momentary or temporary pleasure, but take away from us the permanent joy, the true freedom which gives birth to joy and happiness in life. We shall consider these disordered affections in prayer, and we shall own them up. Then we shall see how Ignatian is helping us to move from disordered affections to ordering of our life.